Hey everyone, it's Paul here with the Bull Profits for this week. So I saw this tweet from one of my favorite folks on Twitter. His name is John Ehrlichman, and I definitely recommend that all of you subscribe if you're on Twitter to John's tweets, because he definitely has some pretty amazing stuff that he puts out on a regular basis. Nonetheless, I just want to put this one up, and he put out in this tweet, says, value today of $1,000 invested 5 years ago. And the number one thing that he cited in his tweet was Bitcoin, which if you put $1,000 in 5 years ago is now worth a little bit under $140,000. Number two is Shopify at about $40,000. Number three is AMD at about $28,000. Then comes Etsy at $24,000, a little bit underneath that. Then is NVIDIA, Tesla, PayPal, and then our more commonly known and thought of names, Amazon, Netflix, Apple, Microsoft, Salesforce, Google, and Facebook that everyone would be pretty familiar with. So looking at that list, it made me think, well, there's a few things that I want to talk to you about. Number one is that when you look through that list, it's interesting to see that where these were when 5 years ago. So I went and looked this up from the top, which was Bitcoin, which is that in 2016, in March of 2016, Bitcoin had a value, if you took all of the Bitcoin and multiplied it by the price of 6.6 billion. Shopify had a stock market capitalization or stock market value, if you will, of 2.29 billion. AMD had a stock market capitalization of 2.2 billion. And Etsy had a stock market capitalization of about $1 billion. And I know I'm reading this off of a stick with me. There is a point that I'm going to make with this. NVIDIA was a $19.4 billion company 5 years ago. Tesla was a $30.76 billion company. And PayPal was a pretty large $46.6 billion company. So the reason I went and looked all that up is that you can see that if you're looking to make an investment, a speculation that generates the kinds of returns that John put out in his tweet, where you can make 5, 10, 15, 20 times your money, or in the case of Bitcoin, 40 times your money, where should you look? Where should you look for this? So some of the places that most people would have thought are obvious would be in very, very low price stocks. And you'll see if you go back and research any of the stocks in his tweet, none of them are very, very low price stocks that started out at 7 cents or 5 cents. They're generally stocks that are at least 10 or 15 or $20 in terms of their price. And this is something that I feel that a lot of folks that are investing and speculating focus so much and very narrowly on the stock price without understanding that the stock price reflects simply the number of pieces that a company is cut into. You could have a very large company that is cut into many pieces, and then it would have a very low stock price. Equally, you could have a very small company that is cut up into very few pieces, and it would have a very high stock price. The bottom line to me bringing this up is that the stock price by itself is never really a gauge of the opportunity in a stock, of what its growth is going to be, of what its potential returns are going to be. And when you're new to the stock market, everyone focuses solely on the stock price. And as a result, that will probably end up missing stocks like Shopify or AMD or Etsy or NVIDIA or PayPal or Tesla, because they will say that the stock price is too high. And in truth, I get a lot of these complaints myself when I talk about stocks, and people say, Paul, give us some low price stocks, give us a chance. And the truth is that to make big money, you actually can be in stocks that really have much higher price points because they reflect fairly small companies in a world of very large companies. For example, Apple is a $2 trillion company. So even a stock like PayPal 5 years ago is fairly small. So that would be my number one takeaway from this, which is that if you're searching for what is going to be on this list 5 years from now, focus on companies that really have a stock market capitalization somewhere, I would say 50 billion and under. Like this sample that I read out from PayPal all the way to Shopify, all of them are 50 billion and under. And the sweet spot might be somewhere in that right in that middle range there, somewhere maybe a little bit under 50 and towards the middle of the pack. So 25, $30 billion. So that's point number one. In other words, focusing purely on the stock price itself, wanting penny stocks where you can buy thousands and thousands of shares is probably going to be a mistake, because the nature of all of these stocks is that they represent real businesses. They represent businesses that have a real product or real service that people actually like. And as a result of that, it drove sales, it drove profits, which then in turn drove demand for the stock. So that's my point number one with respect to this. The second thing that should be pretty clear is that none of these stocks are super difficult to understand or know. In other words, to some extent, to even fairly casual followers of the stock market or even users of technology or reading things, you would be familiar with the vast majority of these stocks. For example, PayPal. PayPal is a stock that most people would know because they send money using the PayPal service or using the Venmo service. And so that's a pretty obvious stock. And it's something that many people know about. Tesla. I mean, Tesla has got to be one of the most covered stocks in the media on a regular basis. In other words, everyone has known about Tesla. However, very few people really invested in Tesla, even though it was so well known. NVIDIA is a stock that many tech investors would know because it is one of the leaders in making chips for all kinds of purposes. And certainly among technology investors, it's simply no secret. NVIDIA is one of the leaders. And if you were interested in chips following technology, NVIDIA is something that you would know. Nonetheless, I would bet that a lot of people missed out on NVIDIA. Etsy is another one that you can think of. I've been buying things through Etsy, truthfully, for many, many years now. And it has always interested me as a platform. And full disclosure, Etsy is actually in one of our services. And our folks have made good money on Etsy in there. Nonetheless, if you're a user of Etsy and you were making things on Etsy and selling it, this would have been a pretty obvious stock. In other words, this is something that was out there that a lot of people came into contact with. AMD is another chip stock like NVIDIA. And this is a stock that actually genuinely was a low price stock. At the time that it started its big run, AMD might have been under 5 or maybe even under 10. So this is the exception to the rule where this stock was actually in that low price category and where you could have maybe accumulated thousands and thousands of shares and had obviously a big blockbuster, major winner by owning AMD. And the last one is Shopify. And Shopify was a $2.2 billion company. And once again, is a company that many people would have come across as a result of buying things online, where if you noticed it, they would say powered by Shopify. And this was a stock that many folks would have come in contact with, yet I would venture that a lot of people never invest in it. The last one is, of course, Bitcoin. And Bitcoin, like Tesla, is covered like crazy, like everyone. Nonetheless, most people probably have gone in and out of Bitcoin and have missed the vast majority of this amazing, phenomenal run that Bitcoin has had really essentially over the last 1 year, and certainly going back 5 years, a 40x move. So the bottom line to the point I'm trying to make is that you can look for some of these big winners really among obvious things that are out there. And I actually have a portfolio that I have put out on YouTube called Buzz. And that includes Bitcoin. The second letter U is Uber. And then there's two Z's in there, one for Zillow and one for Zoom. And to me, these fit the categories. None of these are low price stocks. They're all pretty obvious. Pretty much everyone knows about Bitcoin. And if you're watching our YouTube channel, you know that I have a prediction for Bitcoin to go to $250,000 over the next 1 to 3 years. My amazing colleague, Ian Dyer, has a prediction for it to go even higher to $350,000. So in our judgment, we still believe there's a huge run left. And Uber, Zillow, and Zoom are pretty obvious. Most people have used Uber or at least know of it. Anyone looking for a house or looking at real estate knows of Zillow. And pretty much anyone that has had to do anything like have a business meeting or any kind of meeting during the pandemic has, in all likelihood, used Zoom. So the Buzz portfolio is something that I have put out on YouTube some time ago, and it's still out there. We're still calculating it. I'll give an update on Buzz in another video. But this is a good example of the kinds of stocks that are likely to be on this list in 5 years' time. So that's the second point about these stocks. Now, obviously, the natural question when you see something like this, which is like, hey, here are the stocks that did incredibly well if you had bought them 5 years ago, the natural mindset is to obviously think like, well, where's the next one? And in my judgment, the place where this is going to come from is the fastest growing part of certainly the tech economy, which is this transition from what I'll call dumb software or sort of unsmart software to smart software, which we call artificial intelligence. In other words, a self-learning piece of software that learns your habits, understands what you're doing, and learns to automate it. And that, I believe, is going to generate massive winners. In all likelihood, there will be only one or two winners, because we live in a world where you can see, whether it be from Apple or Microsoft or Amazon or Netflix or Google, this is a winner-take-most economy. In other words, the leader tends to get the vast majority of the gains, whether it be in stock price, the vast majority of the business in terms of their business prospects. So I believe that one of these stocks is going to be the big winner. And I have picked one of these and I've put it into the Profits Unlimited portfolio. This month, we sent a flash trade out to our readers about this stock. So if you are interested in knowing what this stock is, yes, I know I'm teasing the stock. You can check into profitsunlimited.com. There'll be a link below. You will have to subscribe to it to be able to get the pick. I believe that's fair, given that our readers do pay for this. And we do provide genuine value in terms of knowledge and even stock picks on the YouTube channel. And being that this video gets embedded and sent out by email to folks that are on our free e-letter list, which is called Bull Profits. So if you're interested in that, check into profitsunlimited.com. If you're looking to invest in companies that could be on this list 5 years from now, for sure, check into Buzz. The video for that is in previous episodes, so check into that. And finally, I want to say, if you like the content in this channel, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and comment below. Perhaps you have had a different stock that has generated the same kinds of returns. And if you have, please mention it below, and we'll try and address some of it in future issues. Until then, this is Paul saying bye.